Who do you trust when the kingpins wear badges? At 3:15 a.m., agents hit the home of two veteran Tennessee detectives and walked straight into a crime scene that rewrote the case. A frozen body, $6 million in cash, and gold blocks beside Glock pistols. This video answers the questions you're already asking. How did a $128 million narcotics empire hide inside police databases, ports, and trucking companies? And what connects it to a CIA agent who disappeared 4 months earlier? We'll show the evidence they tried to erase, and the note that triggered a national manhunt. Before we move on, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like the video. The plan was simple. Breach, secure, document. A standard narcotics warrant with a clean checklist. Agents expected ledger binders, burner phones, and maybe a safe full of bills. Instead, the first odd note hit as soon as the basement door cracked open. No motion chime, no sensor chirp. Just a draft that smelled like refrigerant and bleach. Down a short hallway, past a wall of framed commendations, a steel door hummed. The temperature bleed frosted the latch. The team stacked, called the room cold, and pushed in. The freezer was industrial, not kitchen grade. Ceiling vents blasted sub-zero air across racked shelves and a waist-high suitcase chained to an anchor eye. It was locked. They swept the corners. No tripwires, no contact mics. Then the debate started right there in the frost. Do you hold forensics to preserve the cold, or open now before any timed wipe kicks in? The air kept dropping. Condensation crisped into ice along a conduit. They cut the chain, backed a camera, and cracked the case. Inside was a man folded tight, skin glassy, joints fixed from the freeze. The body didn't flex, it thunked. Rigor, but forced by temperature, not time. Next to the suitcase, 2 Glock pistols lay on a rubber mat, slides clean, oil fresh. On a pallet against the wall, bricks of cash vacuum-sealed in heat shrink sat in tidy columns. Between them, heavy gold blocks wrapped in cloth, edges dented, weight scuffing the pallet slats. The room went quiet in the headsets. Then the channel flipped from drugs to homicide. Cold like this plays tricks on the clock. A frozen body can blur time of death windows and mute injury signs. The field lead shifted the scene to homicide protocol on the spot to keep thaw damage from smearing what the medical examiner would need later. Gloves swapped. Light angles changed. Breath clouds hung in front of face shields as they worked. A tech ran quick swabs. The pistols came back with mixed prints, overlapping sets that told a messy handling story. The cash bands had traces too, more than one hand, not burned clean. One of the gold blocks showed a serial and a refinery stamp that didn't match common domestic sources. Not rare in the world, but rare in basements. That, paired with cash and sealed bricks and a set of encrypted drives pulled from a plastic bin that hadn't iced over, suggested planning for movement, not storage. This was an exit kit. Or a war chest. Either way, not local only. Dispatch called in a dedicated digital evidence locker and a rapid cold transport. Rooms upstairs got sealed. The profile shifted in minutes, from officers clipping profit to organizers capable of protecting a killing inside their own safe house. If the freezer tells you how they ended, the missing laptop pages explain how it started. The freezer forced the pivot, but the paper trail that put agents at that house started months earlier with someone who didn't miss check-ins. Ethan Carter ran quiet cases and hit his marks. 4 months before the raid, he chased a fentanyl line tied to CJNG that threaded from maquilas to Mid-South trucking hubs. Then his updates stopped. Calls rolled to voicemail. His liaison flagged it as off-pattern within hours, not days, because Carter treated time like evidence. His home told the rest. The entry looked normal. The kitchen looked lived in. The hallway looked wrong. A lamp down, glass spall across the runner, and a smear of disturbed dust on the baseboard where droplets had dried. No forced front door. Back latch intact. Someone knew how to walk in without noise and leave without a pry mark. On the desk, his laptop sat in 2 pieces. drive cage crushed by a blunt strike. The safe was open, not ripped. Files tied to Tennessee cargo audits, gone. Other folders, untouched. That kind of selective pull pointed to attackers who knew what to take and what to ignore. Under a couch cushion, a torn notebook page held 2 names and a run of dates. Hassan Ali Muhammad, Amina Abdullahi Ibrahim. The dates weren't random. They mapped to entries in shipping advisories and carrier ETAs, the kind of lines you only see if you watch port feeds and trucking yard gates at the same time. The note had one more detail: Carter's shorthand marks next to 4 dates that later lined up with unlogged transfers on a midweek swing. It wasn't a theory, it was a checklist. Digital forensics saw the same pattern from another angle. Carter's cloud backups showed activity until the night he vanished. Then a narrow scrape of queries around Tennessee import screens and patrol allocation dashboards. The rest of his work files stayed in place. When attackers strip only asset state data, cargo, rosters, movement windows, it's because they understand what matters and what could burn them later. Hours before his phone went dark, Carter sent a final message to his liaison. Found the missing link. Then nothing. Cases like this don't stay missing person for long. When a disappearance aligns with a live supply chain probe and a clicked set of names, the scope shifts. Command treats it as a countercrime operation with potential insider risk. That change unlocks tools, jurisdiction, and speed. Cross-referencing the names and dates with port logs exposed a seam. Patrol schedules dipped exactly when unlogged shipments crossed scales or swapped trailers in shadow bays. License plate readers flashed hits that never made it to watch lists. Carrier badges cleared at times gate guards said were off shift. Probable cause grew by the hour. The torn page became the bridge from a quiet analyst to a raid plan. Names on a page are one thing. Proving a hidden empire requires following trucks, databases, and ghost shipments. So how do 2 sworn detectives turn a patrol board into a conveyor belt? They start by owning time. Hassan handled movement. He greenlit more than 300 undocumented transfers that never touched a standard manifest. Amina controlled supply. She fed in over 100 precursor shipments with invoices that matched real vendors and real lot numbers, just not the real contents. Together, they moved schedules like chess pieces, sliding gaps into shift changes and shifting cargo into those gaps. Inside the system, the tells stacked up. Alerts on hot plates blinked on and then vanished. License hits cleared themselves before a supervisor could review them. Patrol cars rerouted around loading windows that kept repeating on odd nights. It read like luck until the pattern stabilized across months. The blind spots traveled with the loads. When the window opened, the road cleared. When the window closed, enforcement returned to normal, like a tide coming in on command. They didn't run it alone. The network pulled Somali intermediaries who already knew port rhythms and paired them with CJNG suppliers who knew how to break bulk and repackage at speed. Trusted faces took low-visibility jobs: gate clerks, yard spotters, night dispatch. They didn't muscle doors. They wrote schedules and issued badges. That blend meant fewer handoffs and fewer witnesses. And when a truck rolled, the paperwork matched a benign shipment that looked like any other pallet of solvents or machine parts. Data access gave them leverage. If you can see patrol routes, you don't need more muscle. You nudge time. Timing beats manpower because a quiet road at 2:17 a.m. is better than 10 lookouts. Encrypted drives taken from the house filled in the money side. 3,000 plus crypto hops moved roughly $18.4 million through nodes in Turkey, Kenya, and the UAE. Wallets flipped every 11 minutes on average, scattering value across exchanges that don't talk to each other until subpoenas force it. That pace wasn't random. Rapid wallet churn across jurisdictions looks like remittance flow on purpose. It hides laundering inside the noise of diaspora payments. So compliance filters see families sending money home, not a network cashing out chemical buys and wholesale pills. Meanwhile, physical nodes surfaced. Outside Memphis, 1.7 tons of industrial chemicals sat in drums that matched the invoice codes from Amina's list. In Kentucky, Pill presses ran at a brutal rate, stamping out 120,000 counterfeits an hour with dies swapped mid-shift to mutate markings. Put the parts together and the estimate stops sounding inflated. Cash flow, chemical volume, press capacity, and retail spread line up with a $128 million profit window over the active period. It didn't look like a crew skimming. It looked like a corporate alliance that used badges as modeling tools, testing risk in real time and shifting loads when the dashboard blinked red. The raid lit the fuse. The response would test whether institutions could clean their own systems fast enough. What nationwide move do you launch when the suspects can read the roster before the raid plan prints? You build a wall of clocks and hit every door at once. Post-raid intel fused into a single operation cell and rolled into Operation Black Dune. 2,400 federal personnel spread across 17 states with synchronized warrants. The targets were not just stash points. Teams went for routes, document mills, and the coordinators who kept the calendar safe. The order of march prioritized nodes that could scrub logs in real time. Databases got mirrored first. Then, the doors went down. The biggest risk sat inside the badge circle. Query audits flagged local officers with odd contact patterns and search bursts that lined up with transfer windows. Some showed late-night runs through plate reader archives right before loads moved. Keeping this quiet mattered more than raw manpower. A leak would let the network shift trucks or wipe servers. Tasking split need-to-know lists. Briefings went oral. Phones stayed out of rooms. Warrants were sealed and timed to the minute so no one could warn a cousin, a friend, or a handler.